Well, I remember a few years ago, they opened back up Cuba. They actually had some cruise ships going back from Tampa to Cuba, Havana, and all that. Obviously, Cuban cigars are a big deal. Everyone loves a Cohiba. During that few-year period, did you guys import any Cuban tobacco?
No, actually, Cuban tobacco has not been allowed to be imported in the United States since the Cuban embargo in 1962. It's something that we have petitioned the State Department to give us a waiver to allow us to bring in some Cuban tobacco to roll cigars here in Tampa, just like they were rolled before the Cuban embargo, but it hasn't been granted yet. I will say there's a certain mystique about Cuban cigars here in the United States.
Right.
Because everyone wants what you can't get. If the government says you can't have Cuban tobacco or Cuban cigars, it's what people naturally want. But we sell the cigars we roll here and in Latin America to more than 80 countries around the world. And in every other country, our cigars are sold on the same shelves in the same stores to the same consumers as Cuban cigars. And so that the mystique that exists here in the States doesn't really exist anywhere else anymore, except maybe for China. Because I think just like with French wines versus California wines 30 years ago, cigar consumers have realized that there are fantastic cigars rolled all around the world, whether it be Cuba, the Dominican Republic, or even here in the United States.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah, I guess people just, you're right, they want what they can't have. There is such an allure with a Cuban cigar. It's like that name, Cuban cigar, people get all excited about that. Maybe one day, we'll see.
I'll say, if you go to Europe and talk about Cuban cigars, you'll have a very different conversation because they're not perceived that way anymore.
Interesting.